Hey up babes, and welcome back to You Do You with Jessie Retro. You might be wondering why it is that I'm sat in the dark wearing a blue dressing gown, sat next to a painting of me wearing the same blue dressing gown. This ain't just any old blue dressing gown. This is a cursed Japanese kimono. And every time I wear it, something goes wrong. Now, if you're wondering what's already gone wrong, I've already filmed all this and my microphone weren't even switched on. So I got a silent movie of me. So yes, I'm going to tell you about the ancient kimono that I wear upon me. It dates back from the year 2010 and I bought it for the Beat Festival. And this is how the story goes. So, I'd spent many of weeks, months, who knows how long it had taken me to create a wig, to dress a wig, to practice at my makeup and look how I looked, because I was going to the Beat Festival and I wanted to stand out. I wanted to put myself together an outfit that I would remember, and maybe others that would remember too that saw me at the festival. So I'd put the outfit on. I even had a makeup artist come with me to make sure that I looked good on the day because I'd put a lot of effort into this. Now I got there and everything was in order. I was walking around the festival site and I was overwhelmed by the attention that I got. People was wanting to stop me to take photographs, ask me questions, ask me about my ethnicity, ask me all sorts of different things. And it became too much. So I went back to my tent, took off my clothes, and I went and enjoyed the rest of the festival. Now there was an almighty storm and everything got wet, including everything inside my tent. It was an absolute washout. The only thing that remained dry was the blue kimono because that was in a carrier bag. So I put on the blue kimono to keep dry, even though the shorts, the vest and the underwear and the bones of me was soaked. Now, I guess that couldn't have been, it wasn't so much bad luck because at least it kept me warm for a few hours until the sun came up to dry everything else. But this is where the story gets extremely annoying. This is where the curse showed itself pretty much the most. Chapter 2, Halloween night. It was the 31st of October 2012. I and my friends was going to go to the Beaverworks in Leeds to a very special Halloween night that was set up by Slamboree. Although my friend Lucy, big ups to you Lucy Scott, had gone without me because she believed that I'd already taken off to the party with other friends. Actually, I'd gone to walk my friend's dog. I'd gone home, I put on the blue kimono, I put on the white makeup, I did my hair, I took out the parasol, I rang Lucy. At this point, that was at the point when I rang Lucy to see where she was. She was flabbergasted to know that I was at home and she was at the party. She said to me, "There's £30 on the side. Take it and get yourself to the party. We just want to see you here, Jess," which was very nice of them. So off I gallivanted into the night, into Great Horton Road. Now, if you know Bradford at all, you will know that Great Horton Road is an extreme goldmine for anything dodgy and drug lord paradise. So I went running into, I can hear sirens. I went into the night wearing this kimono down the dodgiest road in Bradford with my hair like that, with the parasol, with everything intact. I was actually looking to get on a bus, but the buses had stopped because it was late. I got about 30 minutes down the road and luckily found a taxi at the side of me. I saw the taxi driver was in eating his tea. I asked him if he'd be able to take me to the interchange and he said yes, of course. When I tried to pay him the money, he didn't accept it. He said that I'd made him laugh so much with this weird story and the fact he'd never picked anybody up dressed as a geisha before. Told me that it was free of charge because it didn't take too long to get me there anyway. I was stood at the train platform and the wind was blowing my hair. It was like a wind tunnel in there. And if you've ever seen a Studio Ghibli film, it was the closest to a character from one of those films I have ever felt. And what happened was, the Manchester train come back to Bradford, and who was on the train? A load of my friends from Todmorden. and I was buzzing. I was absolutely buzzing because for the first time for hours, I wasn't actually on my own and I didn't feel quite as silly sat with all my friends from Todmorden who were also dressed up in their Halloween clothes. They reassured me that they would take me to the Beaverworks without any problem and took me with them. And I had a great night, although I was very windswept. I have put some photographs on at the end of this to show you how nice I went out and how my makeup was far from neat when I got there. Anyhow, so the story gets a little bit more cursey from there onwards because I danced all night in this silk kimono and I'd hugged people and I partied and I got drunk and rolled around the floor most likely, I don't know. I probably ended up in some camper van somewhere with somebody. I don't know what happened, but I got this almighty rash that covered my entire body and it was so bad that I had to go to the doctors and see a specialist and get some cream for it, and I have no idea what it was, but I managed to get rid of it. Oh my gosh, but for months and months and months I was in agony with my skin, all because I went to the Beaverworks in this kimono. If I'd have never gone in this, if I'd have just wore something normal, if I'd have just gone out in a witch outfit or something like that, I would have never ever have got a skin complaint. Don't worry, it's been deep cleaned and this were over 10 years ago, so I'm sure it'll be fine. It weren't contagious anyway, it was just my skin falling apart. So, yeah, that was a train wreck of a night. Now, let me think. The next story in the book is Locked Out. I couldn't believe what happened to me. I'd gone all the way to Skipton from Keighley, and it's very, very far, especially when you're getting taxis, and it costs around £20 to get there. I had been on a night out, yet again been drinking, and you'd think, Jess, you should have learnt your lesson the first time, love. But no, I didn't, did I? I went out, I enjoyed myself, got drunk, and decided I needed to leave the party. I'd kind of had enough at this point. So I got a taxi, £20 worth of taxi all the way home, and realised that I'd left my bag at the party. Oh dear, what to do? So what did I do? I checked all the windows on the property, and this was the house of my ex-boyfriend's mum and dad, and it was a big posh house, and they lived in a rich area full of, you know, proper curtain twitchers. But they have a right to be a curtain twitcher when they see the back end of a geisha going through a kitchen window that's way too small. I got tangled in the blinds. And after the ordeal, I looked out to the neighbour and I went, "You all right, Simon?" He realised it was me. We laughed it off. But what an embarrassment that he stood there and watched me crawling through a kitchen window. And not long after that, I got kicked out of the family home. It is what it is. Well, it wasn't even my family anyway, so. But yeah, breaking into things. Now, let me think. So yeah, the last thing I'd like to tell you about was this time when I went to a Bearded Theory Festival. Now, I went to see Robert Plant. I hadn't had the best of festivals. I'd fallen out with people there, and some people could, you know, were being a little harsh to me at the time. So I really just wanted to see Robert Plant. So what did I do? I put on the blue kimono. I should have known not to do that. That's a bad move, man. Yet I still went out and I still went to the gig. It started to rain. After my track record of what happened before, as soon as it started to rain, I went back to what I thought was my tent. Turns out it wasn't my tent. I had mistaken somebody else's tent for my own, and it just happened to be that they had the same tent as me. And it also came to light a few 20-30 minutes later that their tent was actually about 6 meters away from mine, so it was an easy mistake to make. I went to the security with them and I resolved the problem. We got there in the end. We found my tent. Both parties were sorry. I felt horrified that they thought that I'd stolen from them. This is the second time I feel like I've been burgling. I mean, come on, man. You don't wear a kimono like this when you're a burglar. Unless you want to get caught, I guess. But the funny thing is, the security guard says to me, when I went to security to resolve the problem, "Yes, but there's a person walking round the festival site with your description robbing tents." I went, "Wearing lime green bell bottoms and a blue kimono." She's got good fashion sense, I'll give her that. Didn't go down very well. Oh well. So, Yep, there's a few little stories about my funny little time wearing this kimono. I'm just hoping that this is recorded because this has already happened to me once and I recorded nothing. So coming up now is a poem written to me by one of Yorkshire's finest poets and also my best friend. He's wrote this poem especially for this story. Thank you so much. Also, this is dedicated to my daughters Safia and Olive. Take care, guys, and thank you for listening.
Hello, this is Tatty Hoggarth doing a video for You Do You Babe for my lovely friend Jess Bell. This poem's called Kimono Ono. I went out to impress in my kimono dress, but I had the night from hell, it did not go well. I was off to a competition, but I ended up committing acts of sedition. My friends left without me, I had to get a taxi to the train station. We did go, a geisha called Jess, dressed to impress, my very own Kimono Ono. Out of the taxi, running to the station, a geisha amongst the rubble, damp and degradation. I got to the competition, I'd completed my mission, I felt chill and mellow. But I got locked outside and I felt bad inside as I broke through the in-laws' window. I tried to explain the geisha's not to blame, but they just wouldn't listen. They kicked me out, they give me a clout. Oh, but on the bright side, I won that fancy dress competition. An act of sedition's what won me the competition. Kimono Ono, no admission as me and the in-laws discussed partition. Cheers.